培咧係一個敢做敢當嘅人，因為我冇做到虧心事，又冇乜所謂，同埋咧我失去一個好好嘅朋友，我已經好傷心㗎啦。
Betty Ting has finally broken her silence on the reality behind Bruce Lee, and it's left the world in shock. For decades, Lee's death has remained a massive mystery, with new theories emerging all the time. From a drug overdose to murder and even generational curses, fans have pondered over exactly why Bruce Lee suddenly passed away. But nothing has ever solved the mystery until now. Join us as we explore what Betty Ting has revealed about Bruce Lee's death. Bruce Lee's last day alive. It was July the 20th of 1973, as Bruce Lee was at the peak of his career. He had just wrapped up a letter to his attorney and detailing the lucrative offers that were flooding in. These included a multi-picture deal from Warner Brothers, along with a proposal for an animated series based on his life from Hanna-Barbera. These were big milestones in his life that he was looking forward to. To Bruce Lee, nothing seemed to be impossible, but after he was done with the letter, he left his opulent mansion and then headed to Golden Harvest Studios, where he engaged in discussions with George Lazenby, the Australian actor known for his portrayal of James Bond. Along with them was Andre Morgan, the only native English speaker around, and they aimed to integrate Lazenby into the ongoing project called Game of Death. During brainstorming sessions and casual banter, the trio was getting through the intricacies of filmmaking. After the studio visit, Bruce then made a brief stop by Raymond Chow's office to talk about his desire to have Lazenby involved in the project. Chow suggested sealing the deal over a dinner, a notion that Bruce readily agreed to. However, Bruce had a change of plans and chose to spend the afternoon at Betty Ting apartment, as he was looking for a break from his busy schedule. Promising to return and finalize the deal later, Bruce then left and got into Betty's cozy apartment where the pair spent hours together. Betty claimed to be Bruce's girlfriend and reminisced about their time together, which involved intimacy and shared moments of indulgence in hashish. Amidst their connection, Bruce had shared his excitement about the project and even proposed casting Betty as a love interest, a suggestion that she hesitated to accept, fearing the repercussions of their real-life relationship. As the evening came upon them, Raymond Chow unexpectedly came over to the apartment, and to this day, this turn in events has raised questions about his intentions. There was something else going on simultaneously. The scorching weather with temperatures that went well above 90 degrees and a humidity level at 84% seemed to take its toll on Bruce, who had complained of feeling unwell. Despite efforts to help Bruce get rid of his discomfort, his condition went downhill, prompting Chow to leave for dinner, with Bruce being left behind in Betty's care. Soon, Betty found Bruce unresponsive on her mattress, and this got her frantic with worry. She then sought out Raymond's help, triggering a series of panicked phone calls and a desperate race against time. Despite all efforts, though, Bruce remained motionless on the mattress where he had been, and nobody could explain what had happened. As Raymond looked at the situation, the gravity dawned upon him. Bruce Lee, the icon of martial arts cinema, laid lifeless in his mistress's apartment. Of course, this also meant scandal and uncertainty for both Raymond and Betty. With careers and reputations hanging in the balance, Raymond had realized the urgent need to change the narrative to ensure that Bruce's untimely death did not become the undoing of those left behind. A shift in the narrative. In the dimly lit apartment, Raymond had rearranged Bruce's attire, buttoning up his shirt, fastening his trousers, and securing his high-heeled platform boots. With a sense of urgency weighing upon him, he mulled over his options. Should he transport Bruce's body home, merely minutes away, or take him to the hospital, a 3-minute drive in the opposite direction? Each decision had its consequence, but Raymond knew that he had to act swiftly and mitigate the impending shock to the public. Eventually, he chose medical assistance and told Betty to call her physician, Dr. Eugene Chu. The urgency in her plea would be clear, but she refrained from disclosing the identity of the patient in distress. Upon Dr. Chu's arrival, the reality of Bruce's condition became undeniable. Despite valiant efforts, Bruce Lee was unresponsive, his pulse faint, and his breathing ceased. Sensing the weight of the moment, the doctor realized that Bruce had passed away right before his arrival. Despite his pleas to keep the matter discreet, Dr. Chu had called an ambulance under the guise of aiding the patient in distress, omitting crucial details to minimize public scrutiny. As the ambulance drove through the streets, Raymond had tried to plan the events that were about to unfold. He had told Betty to stay silent and discreetly tell Bruce's wife Linda of the situation. Linda's heart raced with apprehension as she rushed to the hospital, unaware of the truth that awaited her. Upon the arrival of the ambulance at Queen Elizabeth Hospital, medical personnel then sprang into action, attempting to resuscitate Bruce, but it was all futile. Linda's presence bore witness to the scene unfolding before her. Her hope had diminished with each passing moment. Despite the medical team's desperate efforts, Bruce's heart had remained silent, and the most puzzling thing about the whole ordeal was that nobody knew why it was happening. Shortly after 11:30 a.m., Bruce's death would be made public. As it spread through the city, reporters clamored for information, desperate for any morsel of truth, all while rumors swirled around, painting a murky picture of the events. Amidst the turmoil, 8-year-old Brandon Lee, Bruce's son, would innocently answer the phone, unaware of the tragedy that had befallen his family. Recognizing the imminent media frenzy that awaited them, Raymond hastily dialed his wife, urging her to fetch them from the chaotic scene. Anticipating the scrutiny that would fall upon Bruce's home, Raymond sought refuge for Linda at Dr. Langford's residence nearby. Overwhelmed by grief, Linda's resolve surged as she insisted on a final farewell to her husband's lifeless form. She stood by Bruce's side and drew strength from his spirit, preparing herself mentally for the journey ahead as both a widow and a mother. Meanwhile, at Betty's apartment, the arrival of police would mark the onset of a full investigation. Betty would be consumed by the distress and refrained from probing about Bruce's fate as she remained in the presence of her family. Fake stories. With meticulous precision, Raymond had orchestrated a charade to shift the scene of Bruce's passing away from Betty's apartment. Under the guise of concern, he navigated Linda to Dr. Langford's place, where she had struggled with the prospect of facing the press. Amidst all turmoil, she sought guidance from Dr. Langford, yearning to shield Bruce's legacy from salacious rumors that could tarnish his memory. As the night wore on, Raymond and Linda sat together, formulating a strategy to navigate the media storm. Andre Morgan joined the fray at Golden Harvest, where they then embarked on a mission to damage control. Crafting statements to placate both English and Chinese media, they carefully curated a story that portrayed Bruce's death as a tragic accident during a stroll with Linda in their garden. Simultaneously, Queen Elizabeth Hospital released a formal diagnosis attributing Bruce's death to an acute cerebral edema, though the root cause remained a secret. United in their determination to safeguard Bruce's legacy and shield Linda and the children from undue pain, they came up with a story that momentarily shielded the truth from the public eye. For 3 days, the fabricated account of Bruce Lee's death had held firm, providing a reprieve from the relentless scrutiny of the press. And, yet beneath the veneer of tranquility, a storm of speculation was brewing, and soon the real truth would emerge. Betty Ting Pei's side of the story. Born in Taiwan in 1947, Betty Ting Pei came from a lineage that was steeped in prestige, tracing her roots to 3 generations of doctors and renowned historical figures. These included her uncle, who was a notable general in the National Revolutionary Army, and her grandfather, who had held a position of chief of police during the warlord era. Venturing into cinema at the young age of just 20, she had found herself in the city of Hong Kong, where she joined the Shaw Brothers studio. It was there that she would make her debut in the film The Purple Shell in 1967, portraying a captivating dance hostess. Her talent soon caught the eye of a Japanese director who had cast her in several of his productions, including the musical extravaganzas The Millionaire Chase in 1969 and The Yellow Muffler in 1972. Despite showcasing her versatility in several genres, from drama to comedy, she became best known for her roles in romantic dramas and her presence in steamy bedroom scenes. However, her life would take a turn in 1972 when she crossed paths with Bruce Lee in a Hong Kong hotel. Accompanied by film producer Raymond Chow and Linda Emery, Lee's wife, Ting found herself drawn into Lee's orbit, eventually leading to a close friendship. Ting would fondly remember Lee as a man of integrity, emphasizing a shared commitment to honesty and authenticity. Yet their burgeoning bond sparked rumors and speculation about the true nature of their relationship, casting a shadow over their friendship.
我諗係觀眾想知嘅問題。
我如果相識咧，就係差唔多12年前啦。
But then the day came, July 20th of 1973, when Bruce Lee was discovered lifeless on her bed, plunging her into a decades-long nightmare of scrutiny and blame. In an interview in 1983, she expressed her pain over the speculation that surrounded his death, emphasizing the unfairness of the accusations that were leveled against her. Despite denying any involvement in his passing, she found herself at the center of a storm of controversy and suspicion.
而且咧，況且就過咗10年咧，咁啊小龍咧屍骨已寒，但係形象仍存啊！咁啊好多人就喺度成日都講，我今時今日都係話小龍當時點死啊！
According to Ting's account of the events that led up to Lee's demise, Lee and Chow had gotten together at her apartment to discuss the game of death. However, Lee's complaint of a headache had made her offer him a painkiller. After that, he retired to her room for a brief respite, only for his death to occur shortly after. The sudden loss of her dear friend, coupled with the unfounded blame that was directed at her, took a toll on her mental well-being, leading to years of turmoil and suffering. Recalling his declining health in the months that preceded his death, she talked about the physical toll that Lee's rigorous training regimen had taken on his body. Despite all the struggles, he remained committed to pushing his limits, even resorting to unconventional methods like high-voltage stimulation to enhance his physical abilities. In the aftermath of his passing, she had found herself grappling with both personal and public scrutiny, her grief compounded by the relentless onslaught of accusations and threats.
丁佩咧係一個敢做敢當嘅人，即係如果我做咗咧就做咗，如果我真係同小龍咧即係做愛，佢死咗啦，我都會承認嘅，因為我覺得冇咩需要隱瞞，咁啊唔係就唔係啊嘛，好多人可能好似都係你咁諗啊，我唔知道會點會去到嗰方面㗎，因為男女一齊。
She ended up battling schizophrenia because of her deeply impacted mental health, and eventually, in 1976, she got married, and even though it only lasted for 4 years, her husband saved her life. Seeking refuge from the harsh spotlight of fame, she retreated from the entertainment industry in the 1980s, embracing a more quiet existence that was dedicated to her pursuit of inner peace and spiritual fulfillment through Buddhism. A deeper look into the case. In the aftermath of Bruce Lee's passing, the investigator, SHS Chow, grew skeptical about the narrative that was painted by Golden Harvest, and that began a lengthy quest for the truth. The journalist was determined, so he delved into Hong Kong's hospital records, swiftly uncovering damning evidence. Within 2 days, he had found a telling entry in the ambulance log. Bruce Lee's pickup location was not at his own home, but at Betty Ting-pei's residence, a revelation that had shattered the carefully crafted facade that Raymond and Linda had wanted for the world to believe. Hong Kong's media landscape comprised of 4 English dailies and 101 Chinese papers. It buzzed with sensational headlines, with scandal sheets amplifying the controversy. The Mosquito Press, notorious for its sting, seized upon the revelation, igniting a firestorm of speculation. Betty would be thrust into the spotlight, and while she attempted to maintain the charade that she backed the fabricated narrative in every way she could, however, efforts were swiftly dismantled by testimony from neighbors confirming Bruce's frequent visits. In a bid to salvage his reputation and shield Linda and the children from any anguish, a new narrative would emerge. Through a meticulous process of selective disclosure, a new revised account, acknowledging undeniable truths while refuting salacious rumors, came to be. This orchestrated effort had aimed to preserve Bruce's legacy as a devoted family man and protect Betty and Raymond from legal repercussions. The revised timeline, meticulously constructed to absolve Betty of any culpability, had displayed an ordinary day that was disrupted by an unforeseen tragedy. Linda recalled her final interaction with Bruce, detailing his diligent work on a script before their separation. Raymond had positioned himself as Bruce's business partner, recounting a routine meeting with Betty, emphasizing their platonic relationship. And yet, as the evening went on, Bruce's condition would go downhill, culminating in a desperate call for medical assistance. The autopsy of Bruce's death would reveal startling findings. An examination showed no evidence of foul play, yet it highlighted anomalies. Congestion in vital organs, brain swelling, it all pointed to acute cerebral edema as the cause of death. However, the underlying trigger remained elusive. Suspicion that turned to cannabis intoxication, spurred by traces of it found in Bruce's system and remnants of the painkiller pill. In consultation with esteemed colleagues, the doctor posited cannabis intoxication as a probable culprit, suggesting either an adverse reaction or a fatal overdose. In a colony where staggering quantities of opium, morphine, and heroin were seized, cannabis had remained a taboo, viewed as a dangerous Western import that corrupted the youth. The scandal erupted when tabloids had sensationalized Bruce's marijuana use, creating a story that involved sex, drugs, and deception all around his untimely death. Betty, initially cast as the femme fatale, faced relentless scrutiny as the press spun tales of Bruce's supposed dalliances with various starlets, transforming him from a martial arts icon into a scandalous figure. However, that wasn't all. The press had also fueled fantasies of assassination by Japanese martial artists or death at the hands of a jealous kung fu master, invoking imagery reminiscent of Bruce's own cinematic exploits. Meanwhile, lurid tales of orgies and even drug overdoses circulated, creating a narrative that blurred the lines between reality and fiction. But then it surfaced that a tabloid reporter had bribed a morgue beautician of a hefty sum of $1,500 to snap photos of Lee's lifeless body in the morgue. These snapshots revealed unsettling details, like Bruce Lee's bloated face, captured in photographs from both his funeral and the mortuary, and it fueled a frenzy of conspiracy theory. Some speculated that the bloating had indicated foul play, suggesting that Bruce had actually been poisoned. However, Andre Morgan offered a more mundane explanation, attributing the distortion to shoddy embalming practices. Amidst all the chaos, Betty had found herself besieged by relentless press scrutiny, prompting her to contemplate drastic measures. Threatened by an avalanche of negative stories, she considered legal action against the tabloids, but her plight would only worsen. Rumors of her involvement in Lee's death had gained traction, and she faced an escalating threat to her safety, with students branding her as Lee's murderer and bomb threats surfacing in Hong Kong. The specter of violence loomed large, reminiscent of the turbulent 1967 leftist riots that had rocked the city. Faced with the potential for widespread unrest, the colonial government intervened, launching a comprehensive investigation, determined to unravel the truth behind the tragic events of Bruce Lee's death. The fear and paranoia gripped the public, and it stemmed from memories of past upheavals. The 1967 riots had triggered a minor labor dispute and escalated into a violent revolt, posing a significant threat to British control of Hong Kong. Pro-communist Chinese radicals had planted real bombs across the city, resulting in numerous casualties amongst pro-British politicians, journalists, and police officers. In the midst of this media circus, Linda Lee was grieving and besieged by reporters, and pled for an ending to the speculation around Bruce's death. However, it only intensified, with accusations of foul play and suspicions of a cover-up casting a pall over the investigation. Golden Harvest's attempts to transport Bruce's body to Seattle for burial were marred with mishaps and misunderstandings, which further fueled conspiracy theories and superstitions. The other theories about Bruce's death. Some had whispered that even if Betty wasn't directly involved in Bruce Lee's death, there may have been a pawn in the deadly game of the Triads, notorious criminal organizations known for their ruthless tactics. Lee's past encounters with these underworld figures had fueled speculation, as tales of street fights with the son of local gang leaders had haunted his past, casting a shadow of doubt over his every association. Another theory wove a tale of extortion and retaliation, suggesting that Bruce's refusal to pay protection money to Hong Kong triads on his film sets had marked for him a fatal ending, a dire consequence of defying the criminal underworld's iron grip. Yet darker still, murmurs would emerge of mainland Chinese gangs that orchestrated his death, threatened by the rising prominence of Cantonese cinema and seeking to safeguard their investments by getting rid of the martial arts legend whose star burned well too bright. Amidst the web of intrigue, Raymond Chow, Bruce Lee's business partner, had found himself under scrutiny, with his motives being questioned and his actions dissected in a search for the truth. Despite their professional collaboration, rumors would swirl of a strained personal relationship. There were suspicions lingering that he had planned Lee's death to maintain control over their shared empire while capitalizing on the frenzy that surrounded Lee's legacy. Indeed, Chow's subsequent release of Game of Death, leveraging Lee's enduring fame, had only fueled the flames of speculation, and people began to doubt his intentions while questioning the true nature of their partnership. And then there are those who believe that Lee's death was orchestrated by a shadowy cabal of Chinese kung fu experts who were outraged by his decision to share their secret teachings with foreigners. The legend of his private duel with Wang Jackman only adds fuel to the fire, with rumors swirling of a vendetta against Lee for his defiance of tradition. According to some, this fatal encounter was not merely a physical battle but a clash of ideologies, a struggle for the very soul of martial arts itself. And at the heart of this conspiracy is the infamous touch of death technique, said to strike at the very core of a man's being while unleashing a torrent of lethal energy upon its victim. Whispers of a curse haunting the Lee family began to appear, tracing its roots back to the untimely death of Bruce's ancestors. Legend spoke of a lineage that was cursed by fate, doomed to suffer the same tragic ending that befell the forebears. From Bruce's childhood, marked by the ominous name of Little Phoenix, to the tragic loss of his son Brandon, the tendrils of this curse reached far and wide. Yet for all of its eerie resonance, the theory failed to account for Bruce's elder brother Peter, who had lived to a ripe old age, or the continued vitality of his younger brother Robert, who remains untouched by death. The latest hypothesis. Everyone knew that Bruce Lee's death was caused by brain swelling, but a new revelation has emerged from medical research. A team of kidney specialists from Spain unveiled a chilling theory: Bruce Lee's kidneys may have failed him, leading to his tragic ending at the age of 32. The paper explored Lee's health profile, showing his vulnerability through multiple risk factors and a condition that was characterized by a dangerously low sodium level in the blood. Chronic fluid intake fueled by Lee's rigorous lifestyle, alongside his reported use of marijuana, which intensifies thirst, had set the stage for a perilous cascading of events. The medication that he had taken for pain and anxiety may have played a role in the unfolding tragedy. Experts postulate a grim scenario. Bruce Lee had succumbed to a specific form of kidney dysfunction, a fatal inability to rid his body of excess water, disrupting the delicate balance of water in his system. This imbalance, if left unchecked, could have paved the way for cerebral edema and ultimately his death. But whether it was excessive drinking of water or foul play, all of these possibilities are nothing but theories, and to this day, it's impossible to tell the full truth of what actually happened to Bruce Lee.